Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The New Norm on Black Enterprise. I'm Selena Hill, and today I'm speaking with Brandon McEachern and Marcus Allen, the co-founders of Broccoli City Festival, which is a social enterprise organization that focuses on people, planet, and profit. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So, since this annual festival launched in, I believe, 2013, it has merged environmental justice, health education, and physical activity with hip hop. But I want you guys to tell me more about Broccoli City.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, Selena, we started the grind in 2010 with our very first festival. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we had a clothing line called Broccoli City. You know what I mean? And we had one T-shirt that we started off with, Selena, and it was organic plus fly. And when we dropped this T-shirt, we ended up getting it on like Bossip Saturday Style. Do y'all remember Bossip? Anybody out there remember Bossip?
Yep. Oh yeah, no, I still follow Bossip.
Yeah, Bossip still great. So they had put us on their Saturday Style thing, and we start getting overwhelming amount of emails from people going, man, I just cut my hair all off. I'm going vegan. I'm organic, and I'm fly. And me and Marcus was like, wow, that's super interesting. You know, that people would put it in that kind of category, because for us, organic was the conversation that me and you are having right now. It's authentic, it's real, and people kind of took it to another standpoint. And at that same time, I was learning about Earth Day and what Earth Day meant in the community. And I was like, man, I never really seen nobody talk about Earth Day in our community, as far as African Americans, at least not making it kind of something that we felt like we could be a part of. So in 2010, Marcus and I put together a block party in Los Angeles, and we called it Global Cooling at the time. And we had healthy vendors, and then we had rap acts from Dom Kennedy, Pac Div, Kendrick Lamar, you know, who nobody even knew really like that at the time. And, you know, we did about 600 people, you know, the people was out there drinking healthy smoothies, listening to their favorite rap bands. It was super duper dope. And then in 2013, going back to Miss Selena's point, that's when we moved it to Washington, D.C. and called it the Broccoli City Festival. And that was kind of like the beginning of when it became what it became, in a sense.
I love it. Brendan, when did you know you had something? It sounds like you said the first event you put on was like super successful. Is that when you knew like we got something here?
I believe so. I let Mark answer that, but I think we did though, Selena. I think we knew we had something.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think probably from the beginning, you know, like the fact that we got 600, 1,000 people out for a Black Earth Day celebration downtown LA. You know what I mean? Like just the fact that that was the narrative and people were open to participating and not being on no like, you know, judgment about how the event was formatted, you know what I mean? Because it really was very different than anything like Brandon mentioned. You know, it's rare that you get the balance of, you know, press juicery on site of the festival and you got the bar where people taking shots, right? And that world can coexist in the same space because, you know, a lot of people are just, they're creatures of balance. And so I think that's what people kind of gravitated to with Broccoli City is the fact that, you know, we promote a lifestyle is about balance. You know what I mean? It's about being realistic with how you go about living and understanding that, you know, you're going to have your slip ups, you're going to have your moments, enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? You're going to have a drink or two or whatever it is that you do. But it's about being a balance and being a creature of understanding that, you know, you got to have both in your life.
Yeah. And at the time, one more thing to add to, Selena, at the time, there wasn't really too many safe spaces for people who live in that kind of dichotomy, right? Who like are healthy, but listen to hip hop and, you know what I mean? Or fly, this, that, to the third. There really wasn't a lot of safe spaces for us at that particular time. So that was another reason why we knew it was going to be successful, because folks was telling us like, bruh, this was needed. You know what I mean? Like I just needed to be out here and meet up.
Wait, I'm your target demo. Like I said, I'm like, look, I love me a good health shake. Okay. I will, yes, I do. Like I will make my own. I love eating healthy because I feel better and I look better. And especially during the pandemic, I think a lot of us started really tapping into a healthier lifestyle. but like I can love that and Cardi B. And like I've even went to festivals and said, why are there no healthy food options? Like I don't want to eat like a hot dog and like, you know, I just it's disheartening to this point. So to hear that you guys have something where you're just like combining both worlds is just a beautiful thing. So I'm so happy to hear that. What would you also say makes Broccoli City just like different from other festivals? Like we know the health component of it, but are there other things that make it different?
Yeah, I guess I'll hop in here first. I mean, I think one of the things that make Broccoli City special is it's actually created by the people in the community that is there to serve. I think when we look at a lot of these festivals, and this ain't no shade to none of them, but they're kind of just plopped in places, you know what I mean? And you just kind of throw the artists out there and it's a festival. But when you think about, say, like a Broccoli City, there's so many like working people a part of the system. And when I say that, talking to community stakeholders, like them actually having stake within our festival, you know what I mean? Like when we go to Washington, D.C. and we work with people that are from D.C., you know what I mean? Like it's not just like, oh, Broccoli City is just out there. It's like, nah, we know Broccoli City because I was with Mark the other day. You know what I mean? Like this is, it's built by the community. Even when you look at some of the talent and the acts that we've had over the years, those acts weren't, you know, out there in the world. They wasn't huge. They may have been a part of the DC community, the Gold Links of the world and things of that nature. And yeah, really just being able to tap into the community stakeholders. I think that's probably the biggest thing as far as a difference with the Brock.
For sure. And I think also too, just the concept of the festival being like, it feels when you go to it, you know that whoever curated this was Black. You know what I mean? Like,
right, okay.
And I think that matters. You know what I'm saying? People know and recognize spaces that were curated by other Black people because it's the small things like they got double Dutch out here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just certain things that you just can't relate to if you somebody of another culture. And I think that's refreshing for people to see is those small elements. And I think the way that we curate the talent, you know what I mean? And I think it's just very much thoughtful to the consumer, you know what I mean? And like how the day is structured and how the space is set up on site and just different things like that.
So how do you differentiate your roles as you know, both co-founders? What roles do you each play in curating this festival?
Oh man, I mean, shoot, we do we do a little bit of everything, you know. I guess I would say that if we were to just put it on, you know, brass tacks, I guess I would say that I help with the talent, you know what I mean? I do the talent booking, this, that, to the third, kind of the marketing and the flyer designs and all that type of stuff. And Marcus is the one, and I didn't mean to answer for you, my brother, but Marcus is the one who puts it all together, you know, operations, everything that goes on with the festival on site, that's all Marcus, you know what I mean? From staging to front of house experience, he knows how to put the right people in place, all the way down to porta potties, you know what I mean? So I think that we have a very interesting dichotomy in that regard. But I don't know if you want to say anything.
Nah, man. Yeah, nah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, honestly, our relationship is like we've been best friends since like first or second grade. So like our relationship is deeper than rap, you know what I mean? So it's like the way we interact, you know, I don't know if it necessarily works for everybody, you know what I mean? You know, they say how friends, you know what I mean, friends can't necessarily be business partners, but like our relationship is so like it's just like so egoless that we able to have these battles, you know what I mean? And they can quickly end as fast as they start, you know what I mean? So I think that's the one thing, like Brandon was saying, we kind of do a little bit of everything just because our relationship is so fluid.
Didn't you guys grow up together and name Broccoli City after your hometown? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so me and Marcus are both from Greensboro, North Carolina. And green is broccoli and borough is city. So we just started saying Broccoli City back in the day as when we were young. And yeah, the name just kind of stuck and ended up getting kind of its own personality to it. And now it has its own personality. Yeah, it's its own. Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. So you guys have been doing this business for a long time. Yeah. How has Broccoli City, the festival, sort of grown and evolved since its inception?
Yeah, well, I guess, just like every other festival, right, Selena, like it started off just as a festival, right, when we did that. So then it was year after year coming back, just doing a magnificent concert, a magnificent festival. And then around 2017, Marcus and I and our other partner, Daryl, we had these discussions about how do we kind of give back to your question about the community, right, and what makes Broccoli City different. We wanted to add more elements. I remember people asking me and Mark back in the day, like, yo, B, how you put a festival together, this, that, to the third? And I would say, all right, listen, I got your back. Let's first create a deck, right? Let's put a deck together. And the first thing they say, Selena, is, what's a deck, B? And I'm like, okay, let's take this thing all the way back, right? So when you think about the Broccoli City Festival now, it's inclusive of a conference, right? A 2-day conference that we usually do. Obviously, COVID got us kind of messed up, so we can't do it this year. We'll be doing it digitally, and we did it last year digitally as well, but that's a whole nother thing. But we wanted to have a space where we can all come together and network and learn from each other, and not just from each other, but also, I mean, we've had people like Bosman St. John, Coach K, Styles P actually spoke at our very first Broccoli conference that we had. And the goal of that was, like I said, for everybody who wanted to kind of create their own Broccoli cities. Marcus and I never wanted to be in a case where we're the only ones doing a Broccoli City festival. Like, we created Broccoli City so other people can see it and say, oh, shoot, well, I got something in my town, or I got a passionate idea that I'm passionate about. How can I create that? And just kind of giving them that wherewithal to build that, So the conference, the 5K, we do selective dinners throughout the city as well. And it's really just a great time. The weekend is just such a great time to build with old friends. I mean, we've talked to people who said, man, I ain't seen this person in 7-8 years, but I knew I would see him at Broccoli City. So that's always very endearing to us as well. But I think the conference is one of the things that I'm mostly excited about, for us to come together and build. And I don't know too many other festivals that have a conference before you turn up. Yeah. So
yeah, I think a lot to do with that change though was like the effect of Obama and the conversations that Obama was having and the transitions to Trump. You know what I mean? And understanding, as a large Black, well, I guess just in terms of our skill set of being able to mobilize young Black people and people of color, as Trump came into office, and not even come in office, but even when he was just running, just the whole process of him just being a part of the conversation, we realized that our role had to be bigger than what Brandon was saying as just a festival. You know what I mean? Like, we knew that to be able to mobilize that many people, we needed to do more, you know what I mean? And we needed to add more substance to the conversation. And so adding the conference and adding those other elements were critical and timely for sure.
So, and I'm so happy that, you sort of feed us our broccoli with our candy, right? You're giving us the best of both worlds. And, speaking of the festival portion of it, the turn up, you guys had everyone from Miguel, Migos, Cardi B, Nipsey Hussle. You mentioned Kendrick Lamar back in the day. How is it that you've been able to secure these top tier acts for the festival?
Yeah, I at the time when we first started off in that 2010 time, that was like that whole blog era, Selena, when everybody was trying to get on the blogs, this, that, to the
Two
third.
Dope Boys, Not Right.
Yeah, Not Right, all those different blogs. And we were a part of that community, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of we were dapping managers up because we were all trying to get to this place, right? And it's funny you speak on Nip, like, man, we put Nip on a hip hop panel at UCLA like years and years ago. You know what I mean? Because we've been knew about that brother's impact. And with a lot of these other artists, it's just kind of staying close to the culture, but obviously having to develop the relationships with the agents. That's something that we did early as well. And this was yet again, Selena, before kind of the festival boom. I don't remember when the festival boom happened, but it probably was, I mean, they were already doing it in their communities. but just this boom happened. I remember where everybody was doing festivals, and I don't know if it was we were doing a festival, and it's kind of like when you get a Toyota Corolla, now you see everybody with Toyota Corollas. But
now I think not to like pat our own self on the back though. I do think that because of how me and Brandon were transparent, like, yo, we out here, people could see us, people knew us, they knew how we moved. I think because we were so relatable, a lot of people had the confidence to come behind us and do it. That's a good thing and a bad thing, right? You know what I mean? So I think, like people definitely came up with their own versions of Broccoli City Festival across the country. You know what I mean? I like to think that we had a lot to do with that for sure.
Y'all set the blueprint, and it sounds like
Somewhat.
You're doing so many things right. What challenges have you faced along this journey?
We facing one right now. You know what I mean?
Talk about it.
I mean, I think the biggest conversation that me and Brandon are having, and we challenging ourselves greatly to figure out the solution is after 10 years of being in business, how do we turn a great event, live events, into a true company? You know what I mean? Like, we do business, you know what I mean? Like, we're a great business, but at this point, the challenge for us and the greater opportunity is how do we create a company, you know what I mean? That's here for generations, that people in, you know what I mean, our legacy can live on through a brand like a Nike or like a, you know what I mean, an Airbnb, you know what I mean? And so like, that's where our transition is right now is, you know what I mean, this live event space is one part of the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? And so we're really dedicated on trying to figure out how we can make our brand a lasting thing that's a part of the conversation, in addition to these incredible events that we have throughout the year.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously at the beginning, I guess going back to some of our earlier things, Selena, trying to get sponsors and things of that nature, that was a very hard, we didn't know, you know what I mean? So it was going on LinkedIn and finding, LinkedIn is your friend for those of you who are watching this, young entrepreneurs.
Facts.
We were cold emailing folks, hey, we got this thing, and that part is obviously a learning process as well. And I think that at the time, when we were earlier doing this, folks was like, okay, so you're doing
they didn't get it. It was like, hold on, so you about to have
people, healthy and Black people. Right. I don't know about no healthy and Black people. Right. You know what I'm saying? This was obviously pre George Floyd and everything that these companies is trying to do now. So that was a challenge at first, but we did end up getting some brands on and end up making it make sense. But that was definitely challenging at the beginning. Was trying to make sure we got enough financials so then we can obviously get the type of acts that you're talking about. Because regardless if they was feeling us or not, you still got to pay.
Right. So you definitely have to pay to play. Marcus, I'm so happy that you touched on the pandemic, right? That COVID has drastically changed the live event space. How have you had to pivot and shift in order to really stay alive during a global pandemic?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we did two things right after the pandemic pretty quickly that set us up for being able to stay afloat through this time. The first thing was we saw the opportunity for a lot of digital stuff about to happen. So we had been working with a company for the past couple of years doing digital stuff, talking about digital production, live streaming, and it kind of been an ongoing conversation. Once we saw everything happening, we quickly did a partnership, a joint venture with this company and created our own imprint label where now we did our own live virtual events for ourselves. And we developed tons of clients like UNCF and a few other companies over COVID, where we began to produce these incredible live conferences, virtual conversations like this, summits. And so that began to be an excellent revenue stream for us over the pandemic. And then part two was once we realized live events was not coming back no time soon, we actually went to the city the city of DC, where we had developed so many relationships, and pitched them on creating a drive-in movie theater at the large stadium, RFK Stadium, where we do the festival. And so we converted the festival ground into a drive-in movie theater. We ended up selling 25,000 tickets over from
Wow.
July to January 1st. And through us converting this parking lot to a movie theater, we ended up working with Color of Change leading into the election and creating like a drive-in movie series that toured all about 8 or 9 cities this past year to help promote voter registration. And so I think having your head on a swivel, pivoting, sometimes you got to slow down a second and do nothing, you know what I mean? And allow it to play itself out. And so I think that was one of the things that Brandon and I did, was that there was a few months that we were just like, shit, like, let's just do nothing. Like, let's just figure this thing out. Let's figure out what we need to do. And then just quickly being able to address the need. That's really what it was about.
And just to add on to that, Selena, one of the things that I loved about what we did do last year was the ability to hire our folks. You know what I mean? When it came to doing the Park Up DC, we were able to, give jobs back to the community. You know what I mean? Which is a blessing, you know what I mean? To be able to provide another revenue stream, because it wasn't just us hurting, you know what I mean? Everybody was hurting during that time. And we also got to be able to work with big brands. We did a screening of Lovecraft Country, Charm City Kings, the biking joint out of B-More.
Yeah, the Hulu show. I forgot the name of it.
Show. And it was great, you know what I mean, to be able to do those things and yet again put a spotlight on the folks that are doing magnificent things in our community. So that was a blessing.
No, that sounds amazing. The way you guys were able to navigate and keep the momentum going, still creating events with impact and change and partnering with Color of Change. Like, I love it. That's amazing. Another thing I want to talk about is how Broccoli City gives back to the community. What are some of the initiatives that you guys have in place to give back?
Yeah, well, we have a nonprofit that we work with that we've given a lot to, just in terms of opportunities that we work through, basically, which is Green Scheme out of the Washington, D.C. area. We got food programs. Mark, I don't know if you want to go in on a little bit more, but we,
community cleanups. We do a ton of stuff along the Anacostia River in terms of community cleanup, trying to create clean waterways. We do a lot of stuff east of the river in Washington, D.C., centered around just trying to improve play and workspaces for kids, programs around healthy eating. And then in addition to that, we leverage the festival and our events to drive volunteer opportunities. So people can earn a festival ticket by volunteering in local communities, which has been huge. Over 5,000 people have earned a ticket by doing a certain amount of volunteer hours. And so I think it's things like that. And that's kind of like where we look to transition the brand big picture, is to be much more of like a global citizen rather than a Coachella, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And so we look forward to really creating a whole new narrative about how do we leverage live events and partnerships with big brands to ultimately, improve racial equity, in the bigger picture. And so, I think the brand is transitioning. I think it's a great time where we are right now.
Anything to add, Brandon?
I'm good.
Okay. So, we heard so many great things about the brand's inception, the evolution. Now we need to talk about what can we expect from this year's Broccoli City.
Yeah. October 2nd. So like a month away. Well, I don't know when this will air, but yeah. October 2nd, Washington, D.C. The little babies of the world, Moneybag Yo, Snow Allegra, the sister Justine Sky, Ruby Rose.
Lucky Day.
Yeah, Lucky Day, the collective Mochella, which a lot of people were, kind of hype about, being that they did
Selection
movement. So Election. It's gonna be a vibe, you know what I mean? And many more as well. So we look forward to,
Yeah, this like our gift to the world in the middle of COVID. You know what I mean? Like, it's doing a festival in the middle of COVID in Washington, D.C. is definitely not as easy as in like Florida or Texas, you know what I mean? Where the regulations are a little bit looser, as they would say, you know what I mean? So we just happy that we able to bring anything, even if it's not even at the level that we usually would bring it. But I think people are going to enjoy it and appreciate that we were able to pull it off this year.
Yeah, I was wondering how you were skirting around the regulations and able to
Barely.
still move forward with it.
Yeah,
Barely.
I mean, everything will still be, you know, we got our actually, we'll be sending that information out to our community real soon, but we're definitely keeping everybody safe. We're not going to be out there promoting people being all up on each other's necks and all that. Like, absolutely not. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have all the right regulations in place. Our staff will be good, masked up. To Marcus's point, we really just wanted to give something back to the community. We didn't want everybody to go a whole year without getting nothing from us. And we take pride in that. You know what I mean? We take pride in that, Selena, to hold our community down. So we were gonna hop out here and we're gonna make it work, you know, regardless.
I love it. And how can we tap into the virtual content that you guys put out?
Man, it's pretty much just Broccoli City everything. Definitely follow us on social. We'll be announcing like our Broccoli Con and all that stuff digitally real soon. So you'll be able to tap in on that. But yeah, it's Broccoli City across it all, across Twitter, Instagram, all those good social things. And then obviously bcfestival.com is the festival website. So you guys can check that out and just read up on the festival. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I know it's going to be amazing. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Brandon, for your time today and the impact that you're making through this vehicle. You're literally changing so many people, moving the culture forward. And I love it. We love to see it.
Man,
for sure. Thank you for having us. Appreciate you.
So